think you're a good comedian. I think your lectures are boring. Let me ask you a question on the news.
Now, this is theater. I mean, it's obvious. How old are you?
35.
And you wear a bow tie.
Yeah, I do. I do.
So this is...
No, I know.
So
you're right. No, let me just go. No, come on.
And listen, I'm not suggesting that you're not a smart guy, because those are not easy to tie. But the thing is that you're doing theater when you should be doing debate, which would be great.
No, it's
not honest. I think they believe President Bush would do a better job, and I believe the Kerry guys believe President Kerry would do a better job. But what I believe is they're not making honest arguments. So what they're doing is, in their mind, the ends justify the means.
I hate this show at all. I do think you're more fun on your show. Just my opinion.
But
Jon Stewart goes one-on-one with his fans.
You're as big on your show as you are on any show.
Now you're getting into it.
Remember when Jon Stewart single-handedly ended Tucker Carlson's career at CNN?
It's funny, you know, and I made a special effort to come on the show today because I have privately, amongst my friends, and also in occasional newspapers and television shows, mentioned this show as being bad. Here's just what I wanted to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Stop. Stop hurting America. Okay. See, the thing is, we need your help. Right now you're helping the politicians and the corporations, and we're left out there to mow our lawns.
You just said we're too rough on them when they make mistakes.
No, you're not too rough on them. You're part of their strategies. You're partisan, what do you call it, hacks.
Wait, John, let me tell you something valuable that I think we do that I'd like to see you
something valuable?
Yeah, no, it's nice when politicians,
and
I'll tell you, when politicians come on, it's nice to get them to try and answer the question. And in order to do that, we try and ask them pointed questions. I want to contrast our questions with some questions you asked John Kerry.
If you want to compare your show to a comedy show, you're more than welcome.
All the way back in 2004, Stewart was raising the alarm about how our country's legacy news outlets worked hand in hand with the political establishment to shift public opinion to match whatever position they wanted to be the mainstream opinion, which is completely antithetical to Carlson's and Pagala's posturing as real journalists and truth seekers.
You have a responsibility to the public discourse, and you fail miserably.
School, I think.
You need to go to one. The thing that I want to say is, when you have people on for just knee-jerk, reactionary talk.
Wait, I thought you were going to be funny. Come on, be funny.
No, I'm not going to be your monkey. This is such a great opportunity you have here to actually get politicians off of their marketing and strategy. Yeah, it's someone who watches your show and cannot take it anymore. I just can't.
What's it like to have dinner with you? It must be excruciating. Do you lecture people like this, or do you come over to their house and sit and lecture them, and they're not doing the right thing, that they're missing their opportunities, evading their responsibilities?
If I think they are.
Look, I wouldn't want to eat with you, man. That's horrible.
I know, and you won't.
Whatever disagreements we and you may have about Stewart's politics, it's undeniable that he's correct about the role of the media and how it's being used as a tool to manipulate the audience instead of informing and educating. Which brings us to this.
Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission.
It is so incredibly rich for the likes of Tucker Carlson, one of the most watched cable news anchor and the favorite voice of white supremacists everywhere, to complain that the media is corrupt. Sir, you were the media for years and years.
Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway.
We're not going to show any of the 2-hour bootlicking sesh that was Carlson's quote-unquote interview with Vladimir Putin. So we will now turn to how Jon Stewart responded to one of his oldest nemesis. Stewart contextualized Carlson's infatuation with Putin and life in Russia by saying, quote, "The goal that Carlson and his ilk are pushing is that there's really no difference between our systems. In fact, theirs might be a little better. The question is why? Why is Tucker doing this? Here's why. It's because the old civilizational battle was communism versus capitalism. That's what drove the world since World War II. Russia was the enemy then, but now they think the battle is woke versus unwoke. And in that fight, Putin is an ally to the right. He's their friend. Unfortunately, he is also a brutal and ruthless dictator. So now they have to make Americans a little more comfortable with that. I mean, liberty is nice, but have you seen Russia's shopping carts? Stewart is spot on once again. Tucker interviewing Putin had nothing to do with informing Americans about the war, but was rather a not-so-sly way to humanize Putin and position him as an ally to the American right wing that holds the same social values. Tucker Carlson could not care less about the truth and doing real journalism. He has, and always will be, in it for the money, attention, and the theater of it all, just like Jon Stewart said almost 20 years ago. There's a good reason why Jon Stewart has been one of the most popular and influential voices in American politics for decades now.
The reason why Donald Trump became popular in the first place, and the reason why these populist movements, is that the citizenry have become fed up with the lack of accountability for those in power. We have no accountability in our financial systems. We have no accountability for the bankers. I mean, our Congress trades stocks with information they get making laws, and they do it to great success. And they won't stop it because they're the ones in charge of making the law about it.
Despite our differences with Stewart, he is 1,000% right here. Trump's posturing as a populist is a calculated and deliberate tactic to convince people to vote against their own economic and material interests by focusing on culture war issues to distract voters from the real corruption going on in our government.
What would you do if you were out of governing ideas? If you didn't know how to govern a country of this magnitude and a country of this diversity, and you basically are running on government is broken, and then when you get in office, you have to be terrible to prove the original premise. If you don't have ideas on governing, what do? Well, you do the purposeful distortion field that they create.
But it works,
and by the way,
right? Because it's emotional.
Does it work?
I don't know.
Who's the president?
Well, but
I mean, it doesn't necessarily work. It gets people upset. It gets them angry. It makes them fearful about threats and hyperbole, and makes them afraid of things that can't even really be defined. Meanwhile, ignoring so many issues.
This is textbook Republican politics, and those in power know all too well that their base runs purely on fear, whether it be inducing paranoia about immigrants taking our jobs and invading our country, preaching that the devil has taken over public schools, or claiming that anyone who disagrees with them is evil without fear, and taking advantage of our horrible education system. The Republican Party simply would not survive. Now, more from Stewart.
And instead of bringing accountability to the rampant corruption that surrounds our government and our financial systems, the Supreme Court just changed the definition of corruption. Rather than prosecuting it, rather than holding people accountable, they just went, how about this? Okay, why don't we just say this?
It's even better than that was that they said, you politicians, you think that's corruption because you're engaging in it, but we actually don't think it's corruption.
And we're going to tell you, don't worry about it. You can influence peddle as long as you don't explicitly say, by the way, this money is so that I may influence this law specifically. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch a state, you talked about Sarah Huckabee Sanders. It's hard to watch a state that's like 48th in, infant mortality and child poverty and literacy,
and
make a big
Medicaid
deal about
dollars.
A trans girl that wants to play soccer that happens like once every 5 years there. Like, it's hard to not be angry about people that try and distract from the real things that people face with weaponized nonsense.
The saddest part about the weaponized nonsense from Republicans is that it always always is done at the expense of an already marginalized group of people and materially impacts the targeted group or individual. Morality should be what guides your political opinions, not the hyper-partisan team sports mentality that has been pounded into our heads since we were kids.
They always talk about, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But it doesn't bend towards justice by gravity. Like, you have to bend it. And there's a bunch of people trying to bend it back. And you use every tool in your arsenal.
If there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you, the viewer, would like to submit, get at me and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open. Support the channel. All of our content is free. It's the least you could do. Become a paid channel member or go to tyt.com/join to support the network as a whole. Thank you so much. Have a great day.